Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning. You know, as you can see up there's two Sonic topics I want to get off my chest, and I'll provide links to them. Um, Basically to one of the forums that I talked about them on, or one of the forums and websites. You can actually find them if you don't know. You can find them at SaturdayMorningSonic.com, SaturdayMSonic.com, the Sega forums under the cartoons and comics section. And you can find them at DeviantArt under the account of BVW1979. Yeah. So just type in BVW1979 in the DeviantArt account, in the DeviantArt website, I should say, and you should find what I'm going to talk about. But basically, you can see the titles of what I'm going to talk about down there, and then, like I say, when you click on the links, if you want to, what the topics are about. But basically, the two topics I'm talking about. Well, I'm going to go in order here. The first topic I entitled, basically, I guess it says yesterday, or should I say Friday, if you will, or early Saturday morning. It all depends. Well, basically Friday evening, where I'm at. The topic I talked about, or I entitled, was as crazy as it sounds, or as crazy as this may sound. And then I put in, like, I think, in quotations, or not quotations, but in commas, whatever they're called, those little smiley faces. I put in, yes, this is written. And the reason I put in, yes, this is written, to kind of show those that get sick and tired of my videos, even if it's just the link to the video and not the video itself. They kind of get, to kind of prove to them that, yeah, I can write a topic and everything, so write about something. So, I'm more than just a video maker and all that. But anyway, the first topic, like I said, which I did on Friday, is called As Crazy as This May Sound. And again, you can see it down below, and you could probably, if I got room to put it, you could probably see what it says, or what I talk about here. And basically, this is what I talked about, and I lost my section here. Okay. All right, here we go. But this is basically what I asked in this topic, or I talked about and asked in this topic, and I quote, who thinks that one of the character changes, not just with you-know-who, comma, quotation, or whatever you want to call it, smiley face, whatever, or smile, whatever it is, commas, if you will, or whatever, I can't, apostrophes, I don't know. But basically, this is what I said, and I quote, who thinks that one of the character changes, not just with you-know-who, if she's restored, but with several characters after this arc is over and done with, will be to finally end the likes of Eggman, Nagus, and even Dr. F. I can't pronounce his full name. Once and for all. In other words, when it comes to those three, more specifically Eggman, show no mercy. Just curious. And the reason I asked this is because, I talked about the character change, and development and everything about the certain character that everybody talks about lately. It says the story arc is really focused on. But, no, not just with her, but with a lot of characters. Because, it makes me think, I know Ian wants to push the envelope as much as he can, even with the mandates and limitations that he has. I know he wants to push the envelope. I know he wants to take it to that next level. So I'm just curious as to perhaps he wants to take the characters like, say, I'm just going to say it, like Sally, like Bunny, like Antoine, even Sonic maybe as much as he can, among others, Nicole, well, maybe not Nicole, but a few others, just take them to that next level, and they're like, you know what? We could show all these other sub bosses of Eggman's and all these other villains and villainesses, Mercy and everything, and probably put them in prison cells. But as far as the likes of Eggman goes, that guy's got to go. He's got to be history. Now, some people have pretty much said that they don't think, Sega, unless they give permission to Archie Comics like they did before with Robotnik. Some of them don't think Eggman's going to get killed off in the comics. Well, I'm not saying get killed off. I'm just saying, get rid of him. You don't have to kill him off. You could probably send him back to his dimension he came from, and that's it. But again, this is just a topic I talked about on these forums. Now, some were kind of critical, and they're like, go back to hugging your Sally plush and all that. And, you know how they are. To me, it's like they can't stand hearing other people's opinion, especially when they might feel that opinion may have some sense to it, may be sensible, and it's even written. But, again, it's just a topic I brought up because I'm thinking, if that's the direction Ian may go, not saying he will, but if that's the direction he may go, then that might be a huge traumatic, turn, a huge turn for the characters. Especially one that's been mechanized, weaponized, and all that. I mean, just think about how would you feel knowing that you were put in that position, you got restored, and you're thinking, you know what? I have learned everything being enslaved by this guy, and now I'm going to take him out once and for all kind of deal. I mean, to me, it would be great character development for the character and for all the other characters affected. So, again, though, I'm just asking the question, as crazy as it may sound, do you think that might be one of the areas and directions, Ian may take them? Now, another question, or another topic, it's a questionable topic that I came up with just today, or should I say yesterday. And that topic is metal plus mecha combined? Could Ian Flynn do this? Now, some people at first, especially at DeviantArt, and maybe at some of the forums, didn't quite kind of grasp what I was talking about here. But this is what I was saying when I made this questionable topic. And I quote, mecha plus metals plus mecha combined? Could Ian Flynn do this? And this is what I meant, and I quote, I mean, he likes to throw us curveballs and to do things we wouldn't expect. As far as he's concerned, we wouldn't expect, know, or guess. But could this be one of the tricks up his sleeve? Oh, wait a minute. Could this be the one trick up his sleeve that he has yet to play? Because those before him never pulled something like this. So could it be? Do you agree? Now, some people at first, like I said, didn't know exactly what I was talking about. Well, but what I'm talking about, and I'm pretty sure some of you may get the idea and logic of what I'm talking about, is Ian, with all due respect, likes to throw curveballs, whether they're positive curveballs, whether they're unpositive, whether they're questionable, whether they're not questionable, whether they're controversial or not controversial. He likes to throw stuff at us that we wouldn't see coming, or as I said there, wouldn't think we'd see coming or guess or know. And to me, it's always been in my mind, I'm thinking, well, why would he create this metal series, add Sally to the equation, even though she's a mecha, and basically add her to basically what he calls Team Metal. And she's not a metal, but she's a mecha. Why would he do this? And the only thing I can think of is there's a possibility, not saying he would go in this direction, but there's a possibility that he may throw a curveball. And I'm like I'm saying, I'm not saying he would do it. Let me get that straight. Not saying he would do it, but knowing how Ian likes to try to surprise us and shock us, if you will, I wouldn't be surprised, just in my opinion, that he would have, during this story arc, have Eggman order Mecha and the other Metals, Metal Sonic, Metal Tails, Metal Knuckles, order them to combine. Because, like I said, that would really be a surprise and a shock, because that would basically be a moment that some may expect, but some wouldn't see coming, because some of them would be like, well, wait a minute. Sally's roboticized. Sally's mechanized. Why would he do this? That's not possible. Well, you know what? If you look at other medias out there, whether they're comic books, whether they're television, or they're movies, things like that have happened in the past, and they are possible. Not saying they are, but I'm saying they have been seen in some ways. Now, some people have given their opinions on this question. Like, let's see. Armor Turk. This is a weird member name at the Saturday Morning Sonic forums. But Armor Turkey was the first to respond to this. And they say, and I quote, this is Armor Turkey's response, or one of them. And I quote, I don't see how that would actually technically be possible. Based on the logic of the series Metal, Metal is a hand-built robot, whereas Mecha is a roboticized Mobian. Excuse me. If he, Ian Flynn, did do that, I would be like, WTF, what the fuck, on that one, because it would defy the logic of the series in general. That was basically what he said. That was basically what his response to the question was. So, and then Tross, who I've mentioned before in some of my videos and audio videos, is the second one to respond. And they're like, and they quote, I like to think Ian is doing his best to make this current story arc a great one, and is taking criticism of his past writing to heart. I doubt his big story arc is going to climax. Okay, all right. I doubt his big story arc is going to climax in a ripoff of 90s TV. In other words, what they're saying is a ripoff of Power Rangers. Yeah, and believe it or not, Game Boy Sage mentioned this on DeviantArt in their response, and I'll get to that in a little bit. No offense. Seriously, though, I actually think Ian has been doing a good job so far. I hope for his sake that the ending of this arc will live up to all the hype and build-up, and is original enough that it won't be considered a rip-off of anything that came before it. So Tross, like many, including myself, are still willing to give Ian the benefit of the doubt in knowing that he's trying his best with the story arc. But it's just a thought that crossed my mind. And you know what? If it wouldn't cross my mind, I guarantee you someone else out there, their mind would have had it crossed as well. Now, like I said, I even posted this up at DeviantArt. And I'll tell you this, when I posted this up yesterday on DeviantArt, I had more than, not just myself, but I had several other people replying and talking about this. No joke. It's no joke. No joke here. I mean, I had Reese Tales, I had Game Boy Sage. You know, I had several people commenting on it. Not just with me replying to them, but I had several people commenting on it. One person, Reese Tales, um, said that they had more than just they had another feeling about Ian's writing of this current story arc that they just can't shake. Now, when I asked them what that was, they said that they feel the Mecha Sally that we're seeing right now is not the real one, and that it's a fake. And that the way that will be proven is for Eggman to blow the fake up, have Sonic go running into the Death Egg, only to be caught off guard by the real Mecha. Yeah, and that's Reese Tales on DeviantArt that kind of feels that way. Now, I'll get to the comments here. Game Boy Sage is one of them. And they say, one of the first responses, and they say, quote, he replaced Sally's brain with a laser gun. Nothing he does anymore would surprise me anymore. LOL, laughing out loud. I had to, in my response to Game Boy Sage, I said, look, he didn't replace her brain with a laser. He just put a laser in her brain, or whatever he did. You know? And then we have another one called, another member of DeviantArt called Kontana 1000. Response is, he would. And there should be more responses. But anyway, yeah, they don't really have too much faith in Ian in certain moments anymore. I mean, Sage, like I said before, is trying to give him a chance, and hopefully, whatever he's got planned for the next couple months will, persuade Sage into okay, whatever, or something like, okay, good job in what you're doing, but. Again, a lot of them, Sage, Reese Tales, among others, Sonic Satayam X93, aka Laser X5, they pretty much agree that it wouldn't surprise them if he did that. I mean, they're not saying that it would happen, but again, they wouldn't be surprised that if he would go in that direction. Because you think about it, you look at comic book writers throughout history, whether they've worked for Archie Comics, whether they've worked for Marvel Comics, DC Comics, or an independent comic company, just when you think they can't surprise you anymore, they do. It's just like in professional wrestling back in the 90s and even in the 2000s and even today. Just when you think you can't get any more surprises, that's when you get surprises. You get a lot of them. You get them like right out of thin air. It's like, oh, I didn't see that coming. I didn't expect that person to show up. I'll give you an example. I remember watching Nitro back in 1999. And even though we had the internet, I didn't have no computer at home officially with the internet. But if I did, I wouldn't have known even then, the way things were, that Jeff Jarrett was going to show up on Nitro the day after he lost the Intercontinental title to China. I wouldn't have known that, and I don't think anybody else would have. You know what I'm saying? I mean, what I'm saying here is nobody would have saw him showing up. You had the Millennium thing with Jericho in the WWE in August of that year. No one thought he would show up there, and guess what? He did. The point I'm trying to get across is pretty much those that I have mentioned, with the exception of no responses on the Sega forums yet, pretty much a lot of them are kind of in agreement that they wouldn't be surprised if Ian Flynn did this. They wouldn't be surprised. Because again, you got to look at the clues. I mean, why in the world would he create a Team Metal? I mean, yes, you have Team Freedom, you have Team Fighters, you have the Secret Freedom Fighters, you have Team Chaotix. You know, and now you have this Team Metal, and you're thinking, why would he suddenly just, bring them out of nowhere? I don't get that. It's like, why all of a sudden would he introduce them and not use them as much as he should be? It's quite simple. He's saving it. He's saving it. Because think about it. What better way, storyline-wise, to mess with Sonic, to mess with Team Fighters, to mess with Team Freedom, the Secret Freedom Fighters, and even Team Chaotix? What better way to fuck them over in the minds than to have Sally, who's been mechanized, and to have Sally, well, not just to surprise them by having Sally, by having them see Sally be modified and weaponized, but what better way to fuck with their minds than to have her combined into some kind of giant metal mecha bot, if you will, along with the other metals. I mean, I agree with our Turkey over at the Saturday Morning Sonic forums. I agree it would defy all logic. But I also have to agree with Sage, Tross, well, not Tross, but Sage. I would have to agree with Sage, Reese Tales, and Laser X5, Sonic Saturday MX93. I would have to agree with them. That I can't put it past Ian. And yes, anybody listening to this would agree with Armor Turkey over at Saturday Morning Sonic forums. It would defy all logic, and if he was to do it, it would be the biggest what the fuck moment there is. But you know what? When you think about it, it wouldn't be that much of a surprise. It wouldn't be. I mean, when you think about it, Ian likes to throw surprises at us. And you know what? If he was to do that, as egotistical as this may sound to some people who don't like to be unbiased and like to basically be biased, and they know who I'm talking about, this would be the one thing that would actually get me to open an issue, to make an exception of not reading the issues until the whole thing was done. This would be the one exception. Now, Reese Tales says, one of the things Reese Tales said was, what would really be surprising if this scenario was to play out, was if it was to play out towards the end of the arc. I mean, yes, even if, let's say, Sally was to get restored at the end, not saying she will, because we got to play the if game with Ian, because I know Ian's listening. But let's say, if that moment happens, it would be something that, even if she got restored, would be something like, would really get people questioning, would get the fans that have gotten invested in her story, invested in her predicament. They would get them kind of curious as to, curious as to, like, okay, well, wait a minute. how she's supposed to. It would get them curious, basically, to the point that they'd be questioning, like, okay, well, how is she supposed to be restored now if she's suddenly combining into a big robot along with the other metals? How is she supposed to do that now? Again, I'm not saying it will happen, but it's just a crazy thought, as a fan, that just went through my mind. And again, I will provide the links down below so you guys can read them yourself if you want to. And I'll even put the details if I can. But I'm telling you, folks, it's something that really was. It just came to me over the past few days, and I wanted to talk about it the other day, but I couldn't. But folks, it's just something that came to my mind, and it made me say to myself, it made me say to myself that it's something. Basically, it made me say to myself and realize as a fan that it's something that Ian Flynn would probably do. Not saying he would do it. And that's the cat in the background, our family's cat. Not saying he would do it, but to me, it's just something that I feel could happen. Now, I know you guys listening to this, and I apologize if it's dragging on, and it sounds like I'm rambling, but these are just two topics I wanted to talk about right off the bat. And again, like I said, with the first one, I know Ian wants to push the envelope with the characters, either they're SatAM, comic exclusive, or game characters. He wants to push the envelope. And the main way I feel he could push the envelope is to have them want to be determined enough to not show any mercy towards the likes of Eggman, Nagas, or even Dr. F. Because when you think about it, if you get rid of them, then yeah, you still have a threat of the sub-bosses coming and ascending to power in their place. There's no doubt about that. But if you're trying to build up, like, say, a certain villain for future story arcs, then you got to take down one villain for the time being, let's say if Ian Flynn wants to get this Dr. F in the spotlight real soon, you got to take the other doctor down. You get what I'm saying? And let's say probably, according to rumors, you want to get the villain of 06. Yeah, the game 06. You know what I'm talking about. Involved. Then you're going to have to basically drop the bad guy. So, again, to me, I think these are just possibilities. I'm not saying either topic that I mentioned at the forums and that you will see down below with the links and the descriptions and whatever is going to happen or will happen. These are just things that came to my mind, and that's all I'm going to say. Comment down below if you want, video response if you like, and I'll talk to y'all later.